Dear students, good afternoon. Today we are going to discuss about Unit 1. In Unit 1, B subtopic B, population and environment. We are going to discuss in the first unit subtopic B, namely population and environment. The relationship between population and environment is a significant issue due to its impact on chances for achieving sustainable development, especially in the developing countries like India. So it means if we go in a manner of sustainable development, development means construction of roads, bridges, culverts, electrification, water supply, and communication facilities. These are all meant for development. If we have sufficient or adequate means of transportation and communication, transportation lies in four ways: air, rail, road, water ways. So there are airways, waterways, airways for flights or aeroplanes, helicopters, waterways for ships, boats, and railways for public transport and transport of goods from different places within the country. And most importantly, roadways. So majority of the or major part of the transportation go through the road, that is road transportation. So there must be a smooth roadways to move people, vehicle from one place to another place. So these are the transportation: roadways, waterways, airways, railways, and communication facilities. Communication means we know pretty well: telephone, land phone, will phone, cell phone. Land phone, will phone, cell phone. Majority of the people are using cell phones rather than land. These are communication and internet. These are the communication facilities. So there must be a communication and transportation, and another one is electricity, electrification. So there must be a proper and speedy supply of electricity without any interruption. So there should not be a interruption regarding the supply of water, electricity, and currency. If these three, that is water, electricity, and currency circulation, detains or delays, automatically it leads to the detain and delay of development. So adequate means of water resources required for the development of the cultivation or agriculture and drinking water, sanitation purpose. adequate means of water resources by canals, storages like dams, irrigation dams like Nagarjuna Sagar, Srisailam, Bakra Nangal, Hirakud, like that, Sardar Sarovar. Why the government has been constructing all these dams, irrigation projects for the purpose of supply of adequate or required water resources for the purpose of cultivation, for the purpose of drinking, and for the purpose of sanitation. So, water facility must be there, electricity facility must be there, transportation facility must be there, communication facility must be there. If all these facilities are available in adequate means, definitely there would be a development. But such development required the support of the people, then it will be called as sustainable development. The government alone cannot develop. The government requires the popular support. That is, the people has to cooperate with the government. Then only development will be possible. With the support, with the help, with the cooperation of the people, if the development is goes on, such development will be called as sustainable development. So therefore, there must be an intimate relationship between the population and the development. So such relationship between population and development depends upon the relationship between population and the environment. So previous studies have primarily focused on the attention impact of population growth on the environment, impact of population growth on the environment, while the impact of environment on population growth. The two things we have to keep in mind: the impact of population growth on environment on one hand, and the impact of environment on population on the other hand. So earlier, the studies does not focus their attention on. So the need of the hour has arrived to study and analyze the interrelationship between the population and the environment. The time has come, or that is need of the hour has arrived to study and analyze the interrelationship between population and the environment. So today's our topic is going to focus attention on the interrelationship between population and the environment. So both directly environment, both means environment as well as the population. Direct and indirect impact and the potential for achieving sustainable development. Why the human beings are part and parcel of the environment. The human beings are part and parcel of the environment. So we have to examine the relationship between population growth and the environment in terms of air pollution, represented by increased CO2. CO2 stands for carbon dioxide emissions, health level represented by mortality and morbidity due to air pollution, and labor productivity. So the sustainable development depends on air pollution, mortality, morbidity, and labor productivity in a country. So, students, population growth and environmental degradation in India. Population growth and environmental degradation in India. It means what extent the population growth contributes to the environmental degradation in our country. We know well, India is the second largest populous country in the world, stands next to the China. We know very well. In terms of population, India is the second largest country of the world, having more than 135 crores. So, India having the population of 135 crores as per 2011 census. The number is going to be or likely to be increased by 2021. Next, the coming year, again, census will take place. It may cross 140 crores as the case may be. So, there is a rapid growth in the population in India. So the increase in population has been due to the improvement in health conditions and control of diseases. Improvement in health condition and control of diseases. The average life expectancy in India is 69 years. Please keep in mind the average life expectancy in India is 69 years. That's why, in view of the life expectancy, the government of center as well as states hiking the retirement age of employees from 58 to 60 and 60 to 62 and so on. So the retirement has been extended 58 to 60 and 60 to 60. In olden days, the average life expectancy 30 to 35, 40 like that. Even 20 years back in 2000, life expectancy was 47 years. But today, due to tremendous changes in the health conditions, availability of the medical facilities, the average life expectancy has gone to 69 years. It means on an average, each individual will have breathed up to 69 years. And of course, somebody may die even before the expiry of 69 years. Some may live 90, 90 to 100 as the case may be. But the life expectancy is 69 years. Why? Due to progress in medical facilities. So number of hospitals come into existence. Number of doctors are come into existence. And medicines are being manufactured for different diseases. N number of medicines ready. And we are having the health systems, 4 types: Unani, allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda. 4 types of medical facilities are available. The people, according to their choice, their financial capability, they adopt of their own medical treatment in their own. Somebody prefer Ayurveda, somebody prefer homeopathy, somebody prefer Unani, and majority of the people preferring allopathy, that is English medicine. So medicines are available. We are having the plenty of medicine. So that's why the people are able to live up to the average life expectancy of. It shows an increasing trend over the census years by observing 2011, 2001, 91 like. So trends in poverty and its environment effects in India. Trends in poverty and environment effect in India. Most of India's are poor, live in rural areas, and they are engaged in agriculture. 68%, 65 to 70% of the people are living in rural areas, and they are engaged in agricultural activities in India. So rural areas are backward than the urban areas. So India's poverty reduction through the anti-poverty and employment generation programs along with overall economic growth planning efforts has helped to reduce the poverty ratio in the country. Basically, ours is a poor country. Since 1951, the government adopted, framed, and implementing 5-year plans for the purpose of eradication of poverty, especially in rural areas. The best example, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. The scheme aimed at provide 120 days per year. The work should be provided to the agricultural laborers. Those who doesn't have work, seasonally based. Agriculture is a seasonally based employment. The agriculture is not in a position to provide employment throughout the year, that is 12 months. The agriculture may provide employment 6 months or 7 months and maximum 9 months. And the remaining 3 months, the people in rural areas become idle, jobless. That is, they have no work to do. Therefore, the government launched a program in the year 2005 with a view to provide employment during the interval or during the recess of the agricultural or cultivated activities to provide at least 100 to 120 days per year employment to the rural poor. So in order to reduce the employment. So that is the main effort taken out by the government. Poor people who cannot meet their subsistence needs through purchase are forced to use common property resources such as forests for food and fuel, pastures for fodder, and ponds and rivers for water. The poor people who are not able to arrange homes for themselves, they depends upon the public property. Some people arrange huts as shelters on roadsides and culverts, besides railway tracks and canal bunds and hillocks. So the people who are not able to arrange house for themselves. They are using public property for houses. Some people going to forests and they settle there. They're cutting trees or plants for constructing the houses. For cooking purposes, they're cutting trees. So that is the one of the major reason for environmental degradation. The main reason is poverty of the people. If there is no poverty, the people would not commit all these things. As long as poverty is there, the people will do all these things, which ultimately causes degrading the environment, causes the environmental pollution. It also constitutes the environmental degradation through our exploitation of natural resources like water, plants, or forest areas like that. And the groundwater resources also decreasing day by day. Next one, pressure on land. India faces the most acute pressure on agricultural land. Only 43% of the land in under cultivation. If there are 100 acres of land, only 43 acres are being cultivated. Only 40 cultivated. That means 43% of the total land is under cultivation. So the remaining 57% of the land is not able to cultivate. There are several reasons for that. Some lands, majority of the lands are not able to get sufficient or adequate water resources. Only these 43% of the agricultural land has to provide food grains to the 135 crore population. Only 43% of the cultivated land. So therefore, in areas, some areas like best example in Amravati, the capital in our Andhra Pradesh, Amravati, Guntur district, Tulluru, Mangalagiri, mandals. There are 35 to 40 villages are there. So they are cultivating 3 crops per year. Agriculture as well as horticulture. The surrounding villages of the capital region are being cultivated for 3 crops by producing food grains, paddy and horticulture like bananas. I am giving only example. Such type of areas are there across the country. Only few areas are adopting 3 crops per annum. What will happen in a particular land? The farmer adopting 3 crops per year, there will be a pressure on land. There will be a pressure on land. So that is the major problem of the environmental degradation or due to growth of the population which affects on the environment. So for this purpose, in order to produce the large quantity of food grains to meet the needs of the growing population, the farmers are using fertilizers, chemicals, insecticides. You will observe in advertisement on news, Tata, Medan, like that, Ecolox, advertisement. Through advertisement, we can observe. So urea, DAP, like that. So major part of the farming community using chemicals, fertilizers, and insecticides in order to have the maximum produce, 35 to 40 quintals per acre. 35 to 40 quintals per acre. They are incurring thousands of rupees, or 15 to 20,000 for each crop. They have been incurring in order to produce large quantity of food grains, in order to meet the needs of the people, because there is only below the 50% of the land is being cultivated, 43%. So ultimately it causing pressure on land. The next impact, soil degradation, land or soil degradation or soil erosion. Direct impacts of agriculture development on the environment arise from farming activities which contribute to soil erosion, land salitation, and loss of nutrients. Soil erosion in the sense the soil loses its natural qualities. Soil loses its natural qualities. So, the spread of green revolution has been accompanied by over exploitation of land and water resources. Green revolution. You might have studied at your graduate level or school level green revolution. In Telugu, Harita Viplavam. In 1968, during 1965 to 68, the green revolution has been occurred. The famous scientist in India, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, is the pioneer of green revolution in our country. And Norman Borlaug, the father of the green revolution, Norman Borlaug. As far as India is concerned, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, green revolution. By using plenty of water resources, by using fertilizers, chemicals, we are adopting 3, some areas, minimum 2 crops per year. 2, 3, some areas 4 crops may be there. The tenure of the crop, the yielding tenure of the crop has been reduced slowly, beginning 180 days for each crop. Slowly it has come down 150 days. Slowly after that it has come down 120 days. But today it has come down to 90 days. Within a short span of 90 days, we are getting yield. So the day of sowing, the gap between the day of sowing and the day of harvest is only 90 days. నాట్లు వేసిన రోజు మొదలుకొని పంట కోసే రోజుకు మధ్య ఉన్నటువంటి సమయం కేవలం 90 రోజులు మాత్రమే. So it has come down 180 to or 150 days to today 90 to 120 days. Kharif and Rabi, 2 crops are there, we know pretty well. Kharif 90 to 120 days. Rabi only 90 days. So the gestation period has been slowly reducing by using chemicals, fertilizers, insecticides, plenty of water resources. Ultimately, soil has been losing its natural qualities, that is, soil erosion has been taking place. So, friends, understand. Next, forest resources. So, the rapid increase in population pressure rests in cleaning of forests to provide land for construction of the housing complexes and meet the timber demands of the pollution. Why we are cutting the trees in forest? Why we are going deforestation? We have to get a shelter. In order to construct a house, we require a land. Therefore, we are going on deforestation for the construction of the houses and even the extension of the roads and construction of the railway lines, aerodromes, like that. So the forest resources has been slowly decreasing due to the rapid increase in the population, developing countries, especially like ours, India. The carrying capacity of forest resources gets affected by excessive cutting of wood and cleaning of forest land. So that is the major cause of the deforestation. So deforestation leads to decrease in the natural resources. We would not get adequate rainfall. If we are having sufficient forests, definitely we will get adequate rainfall. If we are going deforestation, the rainfall will also decreases. We could not get required or adequate water resources from the sky in the form of rain. So there must be, as per forest policy, there must be 1/3 of the world's total land area forest covers. The forest, the 1/3 of the total land shall be allocated for the forest areas. And we are having only 0.6 hectares per person, only forest land. So if the 100 acres is there, 33 acres must be allocated for forests. But today we are having 20 to 25% of the land. It varies from state to state and country to country. So that is the major defect of the environmental degradation. So in India, forest land covers 21.67%. That is, I told you, 20 to 25%. 21.67%. Out of 100 acres, only 21 acres are forest land. So Haryana has the lowest forest area in India. The state of Haryana has the lowest forest area, that is 6.79%. Our state of Andhra Pradesh having 23.20 of the forest land. Some better. Andhra Pradesh, there is 23.20% of the forest land in Andhra Pradesh. So in India, Madhya Pradesh, the state of Madhya Pradesh having the largest forest area of 75%. Madhya Pradesh 75%. Haryana lowest percentage. As far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, 23%. As far as India is concerned, 21% of the forest land is there. But according to forest policy, there must be 1/3, that is 33% of the land should be under forest. So that is the major difference. And next one, The main cause of the environment is due to population growth, air pollution. The air becomes polluted because of carbon monoxide. One of the biggest environmental impact on human activities is air quality. The transportation sector. So transportation is absolutely essential for the development of the country, for the development of the human beings. The man has to move from one place to another place. He requires a vehicle, either public transport or private transport. So, but if it crosses beyond its required limit, automatically it causes air pollution. The vehicles releases carbon monoxide gas are which injurious or hazardous to our lungs. The carbon monoxide is the major problem. So we have to plant trees along the roads in order to reduce the pollution at our level best. Next, water contamination. The water is also being polluted. The waste, the human waste, are thrown into the rivers or canals or streams of the water resources. The water is being polluted. We are not able to get a pure drinking water free of cost. Water, water is not an free good. In olden days, water is a free good, but today water is regarded as economic good. Why we are purchasing the water? Why we are purchasing the water is being polluted? Who are causing for water pollution? We, the human beings. Next and last, climate change. The climatic conditions also changing due to population growth. So there is no spacious places. So when the population growth going on, we require houses, we require education institutions, hospitals, complexes, etc. So automatically, when the constructions are increased, the automatically the climatic conditions also affect. The human activities in the environment interfere with the planet's natural balance, making the Earth's climate less stable and predictable. So, climatic conditions plays a vital role. The climatic conditions are causes the abnormal occurrence, unprecedented flooding. We have been witnessing in Maharashtra, Kerala, Gujarat recently, floods, heavy rains. There is no free flow of rainwater. Why? We are constructing the houses in a congested manner, very narrow. There is no adequate space for flow of rainwater. That is the major problem. And number of storms like Hudhud and hurricanes, a speed wave, the wind, the speed waves, that is the over speed overflow of air is known as winds. Such winds are caused known as hurricanes. Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita, Hurricane Wilma, hurricanes and typhoons like that. And sometimes tsunami also. The sea levels, the rising of sea levels is known as tsunamis. So we have been witnessing since 2004 tsunamis, hurricanes, typhoons, storms like that. So why these are happening? Why storms are happening? Why tsunamis? Why hurricanes? Why typhoons? Due to climatic changes. Why climatic changes? The abnormal increase of the population, which has impact on the environment. So that is the impact of the population growth on the environment. So friends, we have to study, understand and analyze, educate the public at large, especially illiterates who are living in rural areas about the impact of population growth on the environment, because environment and people are interdependent. The human beings are part and parcel of the environment. I hope that you would understand, you would keep it in mind and follow and write it in examination in a better manner in order to get good marks. Thank you, one and all.
Yes.
Rajశేఖర్ గారు follow.